Good afternoon, I'm Altaf and you're watching MediaPlex Live at 1. Police responded to the report of a pedestrian hit by a car on Dougal Avenue on Medina Street in South Windsor Thursday night around 8:20 p.m. The pedestrian was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and was later pronounced dead.
I'd like to reiterate that sadly this is a fatal motor vehicle collision investigation, and we are encouraging anyone who may have witnessed this incident to reach out and call us directly or anonymously through Crime Stoppers.
The Ontario Provincial Police are investigating a crash on Highway 3 that happened Thursday morning at 9:30. The crash involved a tractor-trailer and a minivan, left passenger with life-threatening injuries. The accident came 2 hours after Premier Doug Ford visited Windsor, Essex County to announce updates on plans on widening Highway 3. Windsor Fire worked to put out 2 blazes this week. The fire Thursday at Windsor Royal Terrace apartment building at Park and Palisha was due to an electrical failure on the 5th floor. Residents were able to return to their suites, but power has not been restored at all units. The other fire was Wednesday this week at Dollarama located at Tecumseh and McDougall. The store was evacuated and damage is estimated at $100,000. Windsor Fire suspect it was intentionally set. Windsor police are now investigating. Windsor Regional Hospital will now screen patients with respiratory infection symptoms for coronavirus. Those who test positive for coronavirus will be sent to an infection isolation room, according to Steve Irwin, spokesperson for the hospital. They are also asking patients if they have traveled to China. No one in Windsor has been diagnosed with coronavirus. Get swabbed and donate bone marrow. These were the messages at a clinic this week at St. Clair College's main campus. Swati Sharma reports.
The Caitlin Bedard Bone Marrow Association was promoting awareness about bone marrow. They were bringing attention to the pressing need for bone marrow donors at a clinic on Wednesday, January 22nd. The association was encouraging adults between aged 17 to 35 to give their blood and become part of a worldwide bone marrow registry. This is the age range for the healthiest cells. Their blood may be a match for people needing a transplant of healthy stem cells.
We've been doing swab events, and we've swabbed thousands of people in the Windsor area over the last 10 or 12 years. What I would say is that Caitlin Bedard Bone Marrow Association, what we often say is that it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, but you might be the needle we're looking for.
It's a non-profit charitable organization and run solely by volunteers. People who cannot donate can also help by making a financial donation or by becoming a volunteer.
I was concerned about being able to play sports afterwards, but they took about 2 liters of bone marrow, and that was able to be regenerated in 3 months. So 3 months I was back to doing all my normal stuff.
The gift of bone marrow could be the difference between life and death. Reporting for MediaPlex News, I'm Swati Sharma.
A high-resolution imaging machine was unveiled by researchers at the University of Windsor on Thursday. The imaging system FlowChem HD2 was purchased thanks to 2 donations from Caesars Windsor. On Tuesday, there were some Canaan guests at Indico Devonshire Mall. Agnes Wu found out why.
Rescue is one of the largest single-breed rescue organizations in Canada. Since 1990, Golden Rescue has found homes for many golden retrievers. They are a charity run entirely by volunteers to ensure that every golden member who included in the program has a safe and loving forever family.
We're from Golden Rescue, and we're a rescue organization that rescues and rehomes golden retrievers. So we're in the Windsor area, but we're also Ontario and Canada-wide, as well as any opportunities within the United States and an international program as well.
Their rescue mission of love reaches out to countries, reaching canals from as far away as Istanbul, Turkey, Cairo, Egypt, and Moscow City. For the past 20 years, families in Windsor area have successfully adopted through Golden Rescue and have provided a meaningful life for dogs needing a home.
We adopted or rescued Abby from Egypt in May of 2019. I didn't really meet her before we got her. We picked her out, we saw her picture, and then basically made arrangements and got her. If you go to feed her, she'll stay until you tell her it's okay, she can get her food. She plays a little mind game where she has to look for the treats inside her dish, and then she moves the levers over and she figures it out. So she does well at that too.
For MediaPlex News, I'm Agnes Wu.
The crash of Flight 752 in Iran affected the Iranian community throughout Canada and here in Windsor. University of Windsor engineering student Faraz Talipou was initially scheduled on that tragic flight. Talipou also had friends on board traveling from Iran to Canada. Talipou declined interviews with major news outlets. He was willing to speak to the MediaPlex, and I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him this week. Recently, the Canadian government have taken measures providing the assistance of the fallen victims' families. Are you satisfied with the government, or should the government of Canada do more?
Well, to be honest with you, from what I realized, from what I witnessed, Canadian government did a really good job in providing a lot of support. They had even a hotline for people to call.
Tell me a little about how and what made you change the flight.
I changed the flight it was September, beginning of the September, because I had to be in Europe for a while, for about 3 months, and I wanted to also spend some time back home with my family. Therefore, I booked all of my flights, I think over 9 flights in total, from Canada to Europe, Europe to my country, and so on and back. And in the end, I decided to stay more with my family because I usually see them not that often. Students here usually, because we have to do a lot of work, we don't go back home that often. So I decided to stay a couple of days more. So I owe it to my husband because he put the doubt about changing the flight to my mind.
Tell me a little bit about your fallen colleagues.
I saw the flight manifest. It was just released, and then I went through it, and then that was the moment when one by one I started to see my friends, and then initially I found it's 2. It ended up, unfortunately, to be 5.
As the Windsor Aquatic Club plans to commemorate their 50th anniversary, they are teaming up with local students. Garrett Fodor dives into the story.
St. Clair College students are jumping in and making a splash with the Windsor Aquatic Club. The club is celebrating 50 years of operation. It is planning to bring WAC alumni together and give back to the community. And St. Clair College's third-year advertising and marketing students will be creating an advertising campaign to promote the anniversary. This is an opportunity to gain valuable real-world experience prior to graduation. Nancy Haynes is the club administrator for WAC, and she says the opportunity to work with local students is great.
So getting all this, what I think is expert help by these students, I mean, it is a win-win for both of us. They are getting the experience, but I am getting the help from these students, and it's just been fantastic. All these extra projects, they're going to help us bring in all the alumni from all the years that I just couldn't do on my own.
Scott Briscoe teaches a third-year marketing and advertising class. He says that the project will help set the program apart. He says working with Nancy on the campaign is massive for the students.
WAC was a perfect partner for us, and we've tried to set it up just like a client situation where she did her needs assessment for us, she explained what she was looking for, so students are doing the work, and then we're just going to all literally one day walk down, and Nancy's putting together a team over at WAC to hear the proposal. So students are going to present just like they would in industry, and it will be up to WAC to choose what they like and what they don't, and we'll move from there.
While the students presented mock ideas yesterday, they will be making their formal presentations to WAC in 2 weeks. WAC will kick off celebrations tomorrow at a ceremony at the Windsor International Aquatic Center alongside Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins. For MediaPlex News, I'm Garrett Fodor.
Turning to weather, today there's rain and high of 3. The rain is expected to continue tomorrow with a high of 1 degree, and on Sunday we have chances of flurries with a high of 2 degree. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Altaf, and you've been watching MediaPlex Live at 1.